Welcome to Anatomy and Physiology for the OHST exam. In this section, we'll break down the body's system into clear, practical terms so you can not only memorize but truly understand how everything works together. Think of this as the foundation that you'll build for safety, health, and exam success. Every living thing is built from cells. Think of the cell as the smallest work unit of life. Each cell is wrapped in a cell membrane like a semi-permeable plastic bag that controls what goes in and out. Inside the fluid space is called the cytoplasm, holding organelles, the tiny machines that keep the cell alive. Cells can reproduce asexually or sexually, and in multicellular organisms. They specialize and work together in tissues, organs, and systems. An organism is simply the sum of all these parts working together. The cytoplasm isn't empty space. It's a gel-like fluid called cytosol that fills the cell and surrounds the organelles. It's the busy workshop where countless chemical reactions happen, keeping the cell alive and running. Inside every cell are organelles, tiny specialized structures that keep the cell alive. Each organelle has its own chemical makeup and role, like a team member with a unique job. And the bigger the cell, the more organelles it needs to stay running. Inside most cells is the nucleus, the control center. It stores DNA, which is the instructions for life organized into chromosomes. Chromatin is the DNA protein mix that makes up chromosomes. The nucleolus inside the nucleus builds RNA and proteins. The nucleus is wrapped in a nuclear envelope with pores that act like doors, letting materials move between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. The inner fluid called nucleoplasm supports all nuclear activity. Bottom line, the nucleus directs cell function, growth, and inheritance. Chromatin is the DNA and protein material that makes up the chromosomes. Inside the nucleus, it condenses into thread-like rods that we call chromosomes. Its main role is to store and organize genetic instructions, the blueprint for everything the cell does. Think of the cell membrane as a security gate of the cell. It's a thin, flexible wall made of a double layer of phospholipids with proteins mixed in. The outside edges love water. The inside edges hate water, so they line up in two layers to keep balance. Proteins and lipids aren't just sitting there. Some act as doors for moving molecules. Some help the cell keep its shape, and others send or receive messages. Cholesterol stiffens or loosens the wall so the cell can flex without breaking. Glycolipids and glycoproteins help the cell recognize its neighbors like name tags. The cell membrane is picky about what gets through. Small molecules like oxygen and water slip right in. Charged particles depend on whether the cell's surface attracts or repels them. Lipid-soluble molecules can pass more easily. Bigger or tricky molecules, they need special help either from transport proteins, active pumping, or being carried in little vesicles. In short, the cell decides what enters and what leaves, keeping its inside environment steady. Animal tissues fall into four major categories important for safety professionals. Epithelial tissue lines and protects surfaces. Connective tissue provides support and includes cartilage, bone, and blood. Muscle tissue enables movement, and nervous tissue transmits signals. Blood is vital for oxygen transport, waste removal, and immune defense. It also carries hormones. Bone is the structural framework of the body, protecting organs and housing marrow that produces red blood cells. In body orientation, three planes are essential. The transverse plane divides top and bottom. Sagittal divides right and left, and coronal divides front and back. These references help in safety ergonomics and injury assessment. Directional terms matter for describing injuries or protective gear placement. Medial means closer to the midline. Lateral is further out. Proximal is near the trunk. Distal is further away. Anterior is front and posterior is back. Superior is above. Inferior is below. The integumentary system includes skin, hair, nails, and glands. It protects against pathogens, secretes oils and sweat, regulates body temperature, and communicates through sensory receptors that detect pain, pressure, and temperature, critical for safety awareness. From outside in, skin has three main levels. The epidermis is our waterproof shield. The dermis is the workhorse. It's packed with blood vessels, nerves, and glands. And beneath, the subcutaneous layer cushions and insulates, linking skin to muscle. Skin is central to body temperature control. Sweat cools us. Vessels widen to dump heat. And when cold, shivering kicks in with muscle activity to generate warmth. Sebaceous glands oil the skin and block microbes. Sweat glands keep us cool. Eccrine sweat is watery and everywhere. Apocrine sweat is rich, feeding bacteria and producing odor. The skeletal system is made up of 206 bones plus tendons, ligaments, and cartilage. It's divided into two main parts, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton includes the skull, vertebral column, rib cage, sternum, and hyoid bone, together protecting vital organs like the brain, heart, and lungs. The appendicular skeleton makes up the arms, legs, shoulders, and hips. These bones attach to the axial skeleton, giving us movement and mobility. Bone comes in two forms, compact bone, which is dense and strong, and spongy bone, which is lightweight and porous. Inside bones is marrow. Red marrow makes red and white blood cells, while yellow marrow stores fat. Overall, the skeletal system provides structure, protects organs, and anchors muscles, makes blood cells, and stores minerals like calcium. Joints like ball and socket, hinge and pivot link bones together, allowing us to move in different ways. The muscular system includes over 650 skeletal muscles, making up about half our body weight. These muscles work with the skeleton to move the head, trunk, arms, and legs. For example, the temporalis helps us chew, the trapezius lifts the shoulder, and the biceps and triceps move the arm, and the quadriceps and hamstrings move the legs. There are three main types of muscle tissue. Smooth muscle is involuntary and found in organs like the stomach and blood vessels. Cardiac muscle is also involuntary, found only in the heart, and is striated. Skeletal muscle is voluntary, striated, and directly responsible for moving the skeleton. Together, muscles and bones act as levers that allow the body to move. Skeletal muscles are made of fibers packed with myofibrils, and those are divided into repeating units called sarcomeres. Sarcomeres contain thick myosin filaments and thin actin filaments. Contraction happens when these filaments slide over each other. An electrical signal releases calcium, which allows myosin and actin to bind. Energy from ATP powers the process, letting muscles contract and relax. The nervous system is divided into two major parts, the central nervous system, or CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, or PNS. The CNS includes the brain and spinal cord. The brain handles thinking, coordination, movement, and vital body functions like breathing and heartbeat. The spinal cord carries these signals throughout the body. The PNS is made up of the cranial and spinal nerves, connecting the CNS to the rest of the body. It includes the somatic system, which controls voluntary movement, and the automatic system, which regulates automatic body functions. A reflex is the simplest act of the nervous system, an automatic response that does not require conscious thought. The reflex arc bypasses the brain and is controlled by the spinal cord. For example, in the knee-jerk reflex, a tap on the tendon is the stimulus. Sensory receptors detect it, sending a signal through afferent neurons to the spinal cord. Interneurons relay the message to efferent neurons, which activate the muscle. The result is a quick, involuntary movement that protects the body. The autonomic nervous system maintains homeostasis by regulating heart rate, blood pressure, temperature, and digestion. It has two divisions. The sympathetic nervous system prepares the body for emergencies, the fight or flight response. It increases heart rate, dilates pupils, and triggers adrenaline release. The parasympathetic system is the rest and the digest mode. It slows heart rate, constricts pupils, and restores digestion and recovery functions. Both systems are controlled by the hypothalamus to keep the body balanced and ready. The circulatory system is responsible for moving substances throughout the body. It has three main parts: blood, blood vessels, and the heart. Blood carries oxygen, nutrients, and waste. Vessels act as tubes of different sizes to transport it. The heart provides the pressure that keeps blood moving. In the capillary beds, the smallest vessels, nutrients, and waste are exchanged. A supporting system, the lymph vessels, returns extra fluid and proteins to the blood. An adult has about 5 quarts of blood. Plasma makes up more than half, carrying proteins, hormones, and nutrients. Red blood cells transport oxygen and live about 4 months before being replaced. They have no nucleus. White blood cells defend against infection and remove waste. Key types include lymphocytes, neutrophils, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. Platelets are cell fragments that help with clotting. The heart is a muscular pump made of cardiac tissue. It has 4 chambers and valves that keep blood moving in one direction. Contraction and relaxation are controlled by the sinoatrial node and atrioventricular node. Atrial contraction fills the ventricles, and ventricular contraction pushes blood out into arteries. This repeating process is called the cardiac cycle. Blood moves through the heart in a set pathway. Deoxygenated blood enters through the vena cava, goes into the right atrium and ventricle, and is pumped through the pulmonary arteries to the lungs. Oxygenated blood returns via pulmonary veins to the left atrium and ventricle, and then flows out through the aorta. The heart's left and right sides are divided by the septum, and it has its own blood supply through coronary arteries. Blood pressure is the force generated by this cardiac cycle. The respiratory system is divided into upper and lower parts. The upper includes the nose, nasal cavity, mouth, pharynx, and larynx. The lower includes the trachea, bronchi, and lungs. Airways are lined with cilia that trap microbes and push them out. Inside the lungs, bronchi branch into bronchioles that end in millions of alveoli, where oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged with blood capillaries. The right lung has 3 lobes. The left has 2, leaving space for the heart. Each lung is covered by a pleural membrane that reduces friction as we breathe. The breathing process depends on the diaphragm and intercostal muscles. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and moves down, expanding the chest cavity and pulling air into the lungs. During exhalation, the muscles relax, the cavity shrinks, and air is pushed out. This process is controlled by the medulla oblongata in the brain system, which monitors carbon dioxide levels in the blood and adjusts breathing rate to keep balance. The digestive system has 4 main processes: movement, secretion, digestion, and absorption. Movement mixes food and pushes it along. Secretions add enzymes and hormones to aid digestion. Digestion breaks down nutrients into smaller units. Absorption moves those nutrients into the blood or lymph to be used by the body. The organs include the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, intestines, rectum, and anus. Enzymes and hormones help with absorption, while the nervous and endocrine systems control the process. Digestion begins in the mouth, where chewing and saliva start breaking down starch. The stomach, a muscular sac, mixes and stores food, breaks it down with acid and enzymes, and controls its release to the small intestine. Protein digestion begins here, preparing nutrients for absorption. In the small intestine, nutrients are absorbed with the help of enzymes from the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. Its lining is covered with villi and microvilli, which increase surface area for absorption. The large intestine, or colon, reabsorbs water and stores waste. Finally, the rectum and anus handle waste elimination. The renal system regulates fluid balance and removes waste. The kidneys filter blood, regulate pH, and reabsorb what the body needs. Urine passes from the kidneys through the ureters, is stored in the bladder, and exits via the urethra. The male reproductive system produces and delivers sperm and hormones. External organs include the penis, scrotum, and testes. Internally, sperm travel from the epidermis through the vas deferens into ducts and glands that add fluids. Seminal vesicles, the prostate, and bulbourethral glands all contribute to semen. Hormones such as FSH, LH, and testosterone regulate sperm production and male characteristics. The female reproductive system produces eggs, transports them, and supports embryo development. External structures include the labia majora and minora Bartholin's glands and clitoris. Internal organs include the ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, and vagina. Hormones like estrogen and progesterone regulate egg production and the menstrual cycle. The alimentary canal, or gastrointestinal tract, runs from mouth to anus. Peristalsis, smooth muscle waves, moves food along. Digestion combines mechanical and chemical breakdown. Finally, nutrients are absorbed into the blood and lymph for use by the body. Mutations are simply mistakes in DNA replication. Mutagens are outside agents like radiation, chemicals, or tobacco that trigger these mistakes. Sometimes mutations happen spontaneously just from errors in DNA repair or molecular decay. Point mutations are key. Missense changes the protein, silent mutations make no difference, and nonsense mutations stop the protein short and render it useless. Frameshift mutations happen when insertions or deletions shift the reading frame, while inversions flip part of a chromosome. Somatic mutations occur in body cells. They're not inherited, but can lead to disease or cancer. Germline mutations, on the other hand, occur in egg or sperm cells and can be passed down to future generations. DNA and RNA are both nucleic acids made of sugar, phosphate, and bases. DNA uses deoxyribose, has bases A, T, C, and G, and forms a double helix stranded, the blueprint of life. RNA uses ribose, swaps uracil for thymine, and is single-stranded. Its job is to take DNA's instructions and make proteins using messenger RNA and transfer RNA, and also ribosomal RNA. The sugar-phosphate backbone is what holds DNA and RNA together. Covalent bonds link the sugars and phosphates. DNA has 2 strands. RNA has 1. Complementary base pairing follows Chargas' rule. Adenine pairs with thymine in DNA or with uracil in RNA, and guanine always pairs with cytosine. The ratio of purines to pyrimidines is always 1:1, critical for DNA stability. DNA replication starts when helicase unzips the double helix, forming a replication fork. DNA polymerase adds complementary bases, A with T, G with C. The leading strand is built continuously, while the lagging strand is made in Okazaki fragments, joined by ligase. RNA primase kickstarts the process. The result is two identical DNA molecules, each with one original strand and one new strand. This is semi-conservative replication. Well, that's the big picture of anatomy and physiology, how the body is built, how it runs, and why it matters for health and safety. With this foundation in place, you're ready for the next step. In our next session, we'll shift gears to physics, the forces, energy, and motion that shape the world around us and directly impact workplace safety.